And you said something yesterday about when I talked about, reminded you of an exercise you used to do with us, of like the third eye.
Yeah.
That, and I thought at the time, and I'm just wondering if this is how you thought about it, that this is a kind of a response to that possibility, that as well as doing what you enjoy doing, to be aware of how it might be perceived.
Yes. Okay. So this is
Expand on that.
yeah. This is the outside feedback, giving feedback of what you see. Okay. Again, I don't want people to talk about whether something was good or bad. I want them to hone in on specific elements of theater, let's say. So, what kind of movements do you as a watcher like seeing? What kind of do you enjoy something that's more abstract? Do you enjoy something that's literal? Do you enjoy more words than movement? Do you enjoy more movement than words? Do you enjoy sense of character or caricatures? Do you enjoy humor? To develop their inner director, the thing that you enjoy seeing. And it's very important to be able to verbalize what you enjoy, be very specific about it. This is the essence of a director. We go to directed because we like their aesthetics, because we realize that the way they talk about their aesthetics helps turn us on as a performer to get us to do what they ask us to do. As an improviser, you don't have an outside director. You have an inner director. So that inner director is really your outside eye. That person who has, you as an audience, stood out and watched and realized, I like this sort of thing happening. I'll put that in my work.
Now, as an observer,
Yeah.
I find it impossible not to look at a performance I've experienced as a whole. And it's and I've seen some amazing improvised performances in music, dance, and whatever. For me, I guess that might be my aesthetic. I love to see the parts coming together to make a whole. And I just find that deeply satisfying, and I see that in improvisation. Do you think the training that you do in your workshops lead to that sometimes?
Well, yes, it does. And the people who come to my workshop already would have an inclination of the enjoyment of improvisation rather than set a composed material to some extent.
But do you see the paradox there? Is this desire in some of us to create something whole, where all the parts relate to each other, but it's not preconceived.
Okay.
What's that about?
Going back, I don't know. I think that just, again, it's personal aesthetics. We're all very different, and yet there's certain similarities that we like. I realized when I was dancing with Alan Nicolai, he's my mentor. I studied modern dance with him for 8 years, and he was considered one of the top choreographers in New York in the 60s, 50s and 60s and 70s. So he was a brilliant choreographer, brilliant man of theater. But I realized that after studying with him for 4 years or so, that I started to enjoy watching the students improvise more than I enjoyed watching Nicolai's created theater pieces, his choreographed pieces. I'm not going to say that the improvisations were better than his. No, they weren't, not at all. But I realized that I actually enjoyed the improvisations more. why. Eventually I got to understand. It's for me watching that moment of creation. Um, and also being much more emotionally involved in what was being presented. Because, well, for a couple of reasons, but because I knew it was being improvised, so I had more of an empathy towards what was coming out. Um, and I was more surprised when something I felt was brilliant came out. I said, wow, they didn't rehearse that. That was exciting to me. So I started to realize I wanted to see if I can evolve uh, improvisation as a performative art. Um, it's a personal taste. I mean, I still think people who enjoy improvisation are a tiny minority of people who enjoy theater. Most people like to see something that has been rehearsed and set, and we're alleviating all the little boring bits or the big boring bits. Um, but there is a small crowd, and they started coming to me who had some little inclination that they enjoyed improv, and I really honestly feel it was my positive feedback orientation, getting them to become much more verbal in what they saw and enjoyed and liked, that got them to appreciate improvisation. You know, yes, it's a training. I mean, people go into ballet for whatever inclination they have, and if they keep going with it, that means they love it to a certain extent, and you evolve an audience of people who actually enjoy this particular type of theater.
Yeah.
So you have to train an audience or
Yes.
develop an audience. And in Berkeley, California, and then in Melbourne, this happened. And yeah, that's it.